You check your phone 96 times a day. Not because you need to. Because something in your brain won't let you stop. That something has a name. And everything you've been told about it is wrong. This is dopamine. The most misunderstood molecule in your brain. For decades, dopamine has been called the pleasure chemical. The molecule that makes you feel good. Eat chocolate, dopamine. Fall in love, dopamine. Win money, dopamine. The story is simple: do something enjoyable, your brain releases dopamine, you feel pleasure. Do it again. Feel it again. That's the reward loop. The story started in 1954, when James Olds and Peter Milner implanted electrodes into the brains of rats. The rats could press a lever to stimulate their own brains. They pressed it thousands of times. They stopped eating. They stopped drinking. For 50 years, that experiment was interpreted as proof that dopamine equals pleasure. The rats were pressing the lever because it felt good. Case closed. Except it wasn't closed. In the late 1990s, a neuroscientist named Kent Berridge ran the experiment again, and discovered that the entire story was wrong. Dopamine wasn't creating pleasure at all. It was creating something far more powerful. And far more dangerous. Berridge discovered that the brain has two completely separate systems. One for wanting. One for liking. And they don't always agree. When Berridge destroyed the dopamine system in rats, something strange happened. The rats stopped seeking food. They wouldn't walk across the cage to eat. But when food was placed directly in their mouths, they still enjoyed it. Their facial expressions showed pleasure. Dopamine was not the pleasure chemical. It was the wanting chemical. The molecule that makes you reach for something. Pursue something. Crave something. Whether or not that thing actually makes you happy. That distinction changes everything. Because it means your brain can desperately want something that gives you zero pleasure. You scroll social media for 2 hours and feel worse. You check email compulsively and find nothing. You eat the entire bag of chips and feel sick. Dopamine drove you to do all of it. And dopamine didn't care whether you enjoyed any of it. This is why addiction exists. It's not that addicts love the drug more than anyone else. It's that their wanting system has been hijacked, divorced from their liking system entirely. They want it desperately. They may not even enjoy it anymore. Brain scans of chronic addicts show something devastating. The wanting circuits are hyperactive, screaming for more. But the liking circuits have gone quiet. The pleasure is gone. The craving remains. In the 1990s, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz made a discovery that would rewrite our understanding of motivation. He trained monkeys to expect juice after a light signal. At first, dopamine spiked when the juice arrived, the reward. But after the monkeys learned the pattern, something shifted. The dopamine spike moved. It no longer fired at the juice. It fired at the light. The brain wasn't celebrating a reward. It was making a prediction. Dopamine's real job was not to say, "That felt good." It was to say, "Something good is about to happen, prepare." And here's where it gets dark. When Schultz removed the juice, when the prediction was wrong, dopamine didn't just return to baseline. It crashed below zero. The monkey experienced what Schultz called a negative prediction error. That crash is what disappointment actually is, at the molecular level. Your brain expected something good. It didn't arrive. And the resulting chemical state is worse than if you'd never expected anything at all. This is why checking your phone and finding no new messages feels actively bad, not neutral. Your dopamine system predicted a reward. The absence of that reward is registered as a loss. And this is why slot machines are the most addictive devices ever designed. They exploit prediction errors on purpose. Almost wins. Near misses. Every spin generates a prediction. Most predictions fail. But the dopamine keeps firing, because the next one might not. The slot machine doesn't reward you. It trains your prediction engine to never stop predicting. Social media uses the exact same mechanism. A variable reward schedule. Sometimes a post gets 200 likes. Sometimes 0. The unpredictability is the engine. Your dopamine system can't stop predicting when the next hit will come. Your brain is not a passive receiver. It fights back. When dopamine floods a region repeatedly, the brain does something ruthless: it removes the receptors. This is called downregulation. Your brain literally dismantles the machinery that receives dopamine. The signal is just as loud. But fewer receptors are listening. This is why your first cup of coffee felt like lightning and your fourth barely wakes you up. The dopamine release is the same. Your brain just stopped caring. The same process drives every tolerance cycle. The first time you play a new video game, electric. The 100th time, routine. The reward hasn't changed. Your receptors have. This is the hedonic treadmill at the molecular level. Your brain adapts to every source of pleasure by making it less pleasurable. Not because the world got worse. Because your receptors got quieter. And here's the cruelest part. The wanting doesn't decrease at the same rate. Your liking system has gone quiet, but your wanting system is still screaming. You crave the thing that no longer satisfies you. This is the neurological definition of a bad habit. A compulsion driven not by pleasure, but by the ghost of a pleasure that no longer exists. Your brain remembers wanting it. Your brain has forgotten why. In 2019, Silicon Valley invented the dopamine fast. The idea was simple: avoid all pleasure for a day and let your receptors reset. No food. No music. No screens. No conversation. The concept went viral. Tech executives bragged about spending weekends staring at walls. It became a productivity movement built on a neuroscience claim. Dopamine receptors don't reset in a day. Downregulation takes weeks to develop and weeks to reverse. A 24-hour fast does nothing to your receptor density. Nothing. Worse, the deprivation often triggers a rebound. The wanting system, starved of input, comes back louder. People end their dopamine fast and binge harder than before. The actual science suggests something less marketable. Receptor recovery requires sustained moderation, not dramatic deprivation. Regular exercise. Social connection. Novel experiences. Over weeks, not hours. Studies on recovering addicts show measurable receptor regrowth after 14 to 30 days of sustained behavioral change. Not zero stimulation. Just different stimulation. If dopamine isn't pleasure, what is it for? Why did evolution build a molecule that makes us crave things we don't even enjoy? Because in the environment where our brains evolved, the difference between life and death was motivation. The animal that predicted where food would be and pursued it, survived. The one that waited to feel hungry, died. Dopamine is the anticipation molecule. It doesn't reward you for finding food. It drives you to look for food. It doesn't reward you for solving a problem. It drives you to engage with the problem. When dopamine systems are severely depleted, in Parkinson's disease, deep depression, or chronic addiction, the result is not sadness. It's something worse. It's the complete absence of wanting. The inability to care about anything at all. Parkinson's disease destroys the dopamine-producing neurons in the substantia nigra. The tremors are the visible symptom. The invisible symptom is the loss of motivation, the inability to initiate action. Not because they can't move. Because the brain has lost the chemical that says, move. When Parkinson's patients take L-Dopa, a dopamine precursor, the tremors improve. But patients also report something unexpected. They feel motivated again. They want things again. The world becomes interesting again. This is dopamine's real purpose. Not to make you happy. To make you try. To make the future seem worth walking toward. Even when the present is uncomfortable. Every major technology company employs behavioral psychologists whose job is to exploit your dopamine system. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's a business model. Pull to refresh. Variable notifications. Infinite scroll. Read receipts. Typing indicators. Every one of these features was designed to generate prediction errors, the exact mechanism Schultz discovered in his monkeys. The architecture of addiction hasn't changed since 1954. Only the lever has. The rats pressed a metal bar. You press a glass screen. The dopamine circuit is identical. The average adult spends 4 hours and 37 minutes on their phone per day. That's 32 hours per week. 70 days per year. Spent pressing the lever. And the brains most vulnerable to this hijack are the ones still developing. Adolescent brains have more dopamine receptors and weaker prefrontal control. They are neurologically incapable of resisting what adults struggle with. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's brake pedal, doesn't fully develop until age 25. Until then, the dopamine system runs with reduced oversight. Every notification hits harder. Every variable reward is more compelling. This is not a parenting failure. This is a neurochemical mismatch. We have given developing brains access to the most sophisticated dopamine manipulation devices in human history. Dopamine is not your enemy. It is the engine of every meaningful pursuit in your life. Every project you started. Every relationship you built. Every morning you chose to get out of bed. The question is not how to eliminate dopamine. It's how to direct it. Toward things that matter. Toward effort that compounds. Toward goals that your future self will thank you for. Exercise generates dopamine in response to earned effort. Deep work generates dopamine through meaningful challenge. Real connection generates dopamine through reciprocal investment. The dopamine is the same molecule. The difference is what triggers it. Cheap triggers create tolerance. Earned triggers create momentum. You'll check your phone again. Probably in the next few minutes. But now you know why. And knowing why is the first step to choosing differently.